Alright, so we're setting up the rear end, putting a new carrier in, 373 gears. This is how I set up the rear end. Actually, this is the first time I've used this. I bought this off Summit. It's a pinion depth checking tool. How this works is you lay it on the top of the pinion gear. If you've never set up a rear end before, take the old bearing off your old pinion. You can see the marks there. You're going to take your die grinder, grind that out so it will slip over the new pinion. Then that way you're not having to press the new bearing off and on to get your pinion depth set. So in order to use this tool, you want to put your bearing in. This will only work if you have an aftermarket gear set that gives you the checking depth on the pinion itself. This pinion says 282.7 thousandths. This tool has a piece of plastic in the center that goes down into this hole in the middle of the pinion gear. Set that on the face of it like that. Push down, get that plastic centered in the gear. That'll rotate the edge of this tool over to the center of your carrier bearing. So it has a hole here with a slot in it. You want to measure that depth with your dial calipers. This one is 365. See that? So you want to take 365 and subtract it from this number here. That'll give you 82 thousandths. If you purchased an installation kit, it'll come with extra shims, or all these shims go through your, you can see that there's different thicknesses there. You want to stack them up until you come up with that 82 thousandths. Now you know all these shims have to go underneath your new pinion. Go on there like that. That's the way it'll go in. Now I'm gonna go press the new bearing onto the pinion. Okay, got the pinion bearing pressed on the pinion with the correct amount of shims according to the measurement. Next step is to put the crush sleeve on, slide it into the housing, and set the preload on the pinion bearing. Alright, so we put the pinion up through the housing. We're in the basement working because it's so cold in the garage, so I've got a electric impact here. I'm gonna see if I can get this crush sleeve to tighten. Okay, that ain't gonna cut it, so we're gonna have to take a break and see if I can run my air hose down into the basement. Alright, got the impact. See if this whirligigger will get it done. Okay, after trying to use the two different impacts to get the pinion preload started, I was unsuccessful. Moved the rear end to the ground, tried using a pipe wrench to hold the yoke with a 3-foot breaker bar, still couldn't get it to start, so I took everything back apart and took the crush sleeve out to the garage and started pressing it to get it started. As soon as I seen it moving, I took it off and brought it back in, so we're gonna attempt this again. It is tightening up now. Not sure if this is going to be enough to get the preload set. This is what I'm using. I know it's not accurate, but I'm not spending $200 or $300 on the correct torque gauge to do a rear end every 5 years. I've got about 5 inch-pounds there. I need to be between 13 and 15 according to the chart for new bearings. Quite a bit there. Hopefully I didn't go too far. We're at 10. Let's see if we can get just a hair more. I'm putting the writing on the socket facing towards me so I can see how much it's moving. So that's showing about what would that be? 15, about 16 or 17 according to this, which I know isn't accurate. We'll call that good. Now I get to flip the rear end up and get the carrier sitting there and check the backlash and the pattern on the teeth. Okay, here we go. We're going to set the carrier in the housing. Got bearings on each side. This has to be in place to set it in. Difference between a 12-bolt truck center section and a 12-bolt car center section is this hole on the side of the car unit is a lot smaller. Supposedly they're a lot more strong because of the extra material made into them. Set that in like so. Careful not to pinch your fingers. If you get an installation kit, it'll come with these spacers that go in the sides. This is where you have to shim each side and get it so your backlash is within specs. Don't really know where to start with these, so I'm just putting some in there and we'll figure it out. Add a couple more to this side. These get pretty tight trying to get them in there. They make a tool that's shaped like a U that goes around so you can tap them in. No, I don't have one of those either. You don't want any side-to-side play like that. These get kind of tricky trying to get them in there. Sometimes you have to pull it all back out and stack them all together and slide them all in at one time, which it looks like I might have to do. let's check and see what our backlash is. I got to set up the dial caliper, the dial indicator. Alright, here's you set your carrier in there. You want to snug up your bolts here, tighten them down so you don't have no slop in here. Make sure your anvil there isn't bottomed out, and rotate this back and forth and see how much movement you have. So that is about 22 thousandths. So I need to move the ring gear closer to the pinion. That will take some of that slack out. So you want to add shims to this side. So I will take those caps back off and put another shim in and check it again. Alright, you can see I had to take it apart twice and put 2 more shims in it. This is what you're looking for though. Zero it out. 8 thousandths. You want between 7 and 9, it said. So that's perfect. Now what you want to do is put the marking compound on the gears, spin it around, and make sure your gears are centered. This is marking compound. Comes in the kit when you buy an installation kit with all the bearings and spacers you're going to need. You don't have to get real carried away with it. I usually do 4 or 5 teeth, so all you got to do, you don't go all the way around. Get all the way down in there. You don't want any teeth to be bottoming out. What you want to do is spin it around. Usually go back and forth several times. That's what you're wanting to see. This clean area is here. Just showing you where the 2 teeth are meshing together. It's pretty much right in the center of the tooth. It's not hitting high on this end or high on this end. It's right in the middle. That's what you're looking for. Alright, that's a complete setup. Rear end. The pinion preload was good, the backlash is good, and the gear pattern is good. Only thing left to do is torque the bearing cap bolts and slide the axles in, which I can't do yet because I got to pull these axle bearings out and put new bearings in. Other than that, it's a complete rear end. Alright, So that's how you set up a rear end. That's how I set up a rear end. Anybody that's not familiar with doing it, I hope you learned something. If you got any questions or comments, drop them below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.